Okay, so last class we finished off with chapter number 17. Today we're going to start off with chapter number 18, that is organisms and their environment. Chapter number 18. Firstly, discussion will be on energy flow and food webs. Before starting this, first let's talk about some basic terminologies that we're going to be using in the chapter. Okay, so that you are aware of what exactly we're talking about. So, the study of the interaction between living organisms is called ecology. So, study of the interaction between living organisms and the environment is called ecology. So, area where an organism lives is called its habitat. A population is a group of organisms of the same species living in the same area at the same time. Group of organisms of same species living in the same area at the same time. Okay, and what is a community? Community is all the organism of all different species living in the same habitat. Of all different species living in the same habitat. Okay, after this you have ecosystem. So ecosystem consists of the interaction between organisms in the community and their environment. So ecosystem consists Sorry, one second. Consists of the interaction between the organism in a community and the environment. Interaction between the organisms in a community. Alright. And the environment. Okay. And the way in which organism lives its life in an ecosystem is called its niche. The way in which an organism lives its life in an ecosystem is called its niche. So just like you can call it your job description. Okay. So what is your job description? I mean, you don't work obviously. So you are a student, right? All of you are students, right? It's a job description. Job exactly isn't work. It's like what you do. Okay. My job description is also I'm a student, right? And I'm a teacher as well, right? So the way in which organism lives its life in an ecosystem is called its niche. Right. So these five terms, six terms. Sorry, five, six, how many are there? Ecology, habitat, population, community, ecosystem, niche. Six. Yeah. So these are the basic terms. You can also ask you to define them. They'll maybe give you two or three out of these and give you for 2, 3 marker. Just define them in one line. Or you can also use these terms in your answers as well. Alright. After this, we have energy flow. Okay. Now you know that all living organisms require energy, and all the energy originates from the sun. We talked about this earlier as well many times. Now, some of the energy in sunlight is captured by plants and it is used to make organic molecules like glucose, starch, other organic substances like fats and proteins. So these contain some of the energy from sunlight as well. Okay, so when a plant cell requires energy, it breaks down some of this food by respiration. Right? So the sequence by which your energy passes from one organism to another. Sequence by which energy passes from one organism to another. It's called food chain. And overlapping of several food chains forms a food web. Right now, coming to your producers and consumers. Important discussion. So, organisms that capture sunlight and use energy are called producers, and they are plants, obviously. So, plants, this is right here, plants capture sunlight and use that energy. Use that energy to produce organic substances. Are called producers. And animals are consumers. Now these consumers are different types, so let's look at them. Now, animals that consume producers are called consumers. First of all, primary consumers, producers, primary consumers. And these are usually, obviously, herbivores because they only eat your plants. Now, animals that consume primary consumers, primary consumers are called secondary consumers. They'll be carnivores. Animals that consume tertiary consumers, sorry, secondary consumers. Secondary consumers are called tertiary consumers. Primary, secondary are called tertiary consumers. And again, they are also carnivores. Animals who consume tertiary consumers are called quaternary consumers. Tertiary consumers are called quaternary consumers. Again, they are also consumers. Oh, astaghfirullah, carnivores. Okay, so primary consumers, herbivores, secondary consumers, carnivores, tertiary consumers, carnivores, quaternary consumers, carnivores. Organisms that get their energy by feeding on dead and decaying bodies of other organic material, often plants and animals, are called decomposers. That get their energy by feeding on dead and decaying bodies. And waste organic material from plants and animals are called decomposers. Now, if we talk about the losses, the energy losses. So, energy is lost as it moves from along the food chain. Firstly, when an organism uses glucose or other organic compounds for respiration, some of the energy released is lost as heat to the surrounding. Energy lost as heat to the surroundings. Now, when an organism eats another organism, not all of the organism is eaten. Okay, so not all of the energy is transferred. Okay, so for example, animal eating plant, animal not eat roots. Okay, so not all of the organism is consumed. Third, when an organism eats another organism, not all of the nutrients are digested and absorbed. Okay, for example, if an animal is eating another animal, okay, so energy is lost as well. Not all the nutrients are absorbed and digested. Some are released as it is in the feces as well. This is where energy is lost along the food chain. Is this clear? Any questions? Yes, all clear. Any questions? Anyone?
Yeah.
Zaya, Ayla, clear?
All good, miss.
Quickly note this down and we'll talk about trophic levels. Okay, great. Amit, why are you so late? All right. Quickly note this down. We're doing chapter number 18, Organisms and Their Environment. Alright, can I scroll down?
Yes.
Yes, if you is done. Alright, let's scroll down then. Alright, here. Quickly. Alright, I'll wait another minute and then move on. What's everyone done?
I'm done.
Ahmed, Laila, Umar.
Yes, miss.
Alright, then let's move on. Now let's talk about trophic levels. Okay, Ahmed, done as well? Alright, great. Each level on the pyramid is called a trophic level. You have basically three types of pyramids that you're going to discuss. Pyramid of number, pyramid of biomass, and pyramid of energy. So number, obviously, firstly you have lots of producer. For example, in this case, we're taking it as grass. And then less primary consumer. Then further less secondary consumer. And further less tertiary consumer. And then very few quaternary consumer. Okay, so the reason for this shape is because less energy is available as we go up the trophic level. So the few organisms at each level. Now if I talk about pyramid of biomass. Okay, so obviously grass will have very less mass. It depends, it will change if I put a tree here. Okay, producer has very less Then I have primary consumer with lots of energy because there are lots of primary consumers. And then secondary consumer. And then tertiary consumer. And then quaternary consumer. Okay, this is by mass. Then you have pyramid of energy. So obviously a producer will have the maximum energy, right? Because they are the bottom of the food chain. Okay. Again, lots of energy in the producer. And then primary consumer. And then secondary consumer. And then tertiary consumer. Obviously, as you're growing up the food chain, your energy will decrease. Right? I hope this is clear. This is the producer. Alright. Okay. These are three types of pyramids. Now, if I talk about your nutrient cycles, you have two types of cycles that we will discuss: carbon cycle and nitrogen cycle. Okay. Now, basically, your in these cycles, your decomposers play a very important role. Okay. So they your decomposers feed on organic waste material from animals and plants and their dead bodies as well. Your decomposers are main of them are uh, fungi and bacteria. Right. So first nutrient cycle we're talking about is carbon cycle. Okay, one second. Let this copy this diagram. Okay, so firstly, one thing I want to add, it's that this is very important component of living things, carbon basically. Very important component of living things. Of living things. Because carbon atoms are part of the molecules of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Because carbon atoms carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Now, to talk about the carbon cycle, this diagram is easier. Okay, let's keep this. Okay, look at this. Cycle means that, see, where it's starting, it's supposed to end there. Okay, it's an endless cycle. It will keep on rolling. The first period of time, sorry, I didn't see your message. The first period of pyramid count the number of the different types of producers and consumer. First pyramid of number. Not the different types, it's basically counting them. Like actual counting them. Like how many numbers are there? Not the different types, but the number. Okay, for example, if I take grass and then grasshopper, it will count the number of grasshopper and then let's say frog and then snake and then hawk. Okay. So it will be counting how many grasshoppers are there, how many snakes are there, how many frogs are there, how many hawks are there. Obviously, you cannot count grass like individually, so you basically they use quadrats and all. Okay, but they'll be counting the number, like the actual number, right? Okay. All right. No, I don't see the chart. Like I have to open Meet and see. That's why I didn't see it. Anyways, I was talking about this carbon cycle. Right. What were I saying? Yes. So I was saying that it is a cycle, right? As the name, it's obviously it says carbon cycle. Okay. Right. A point is that everything is linked. Okay. It's an endless cycle. Whatever, it will keep on going on and on and on. And basically, everywhere, if organisms are taking in carbon from the environment, so there are processes that organisms are returning carbon to the environment as well. All right. And if plants are, a way in which they are taking in carbon dioxide as well. So let's see how. First, we start from plants. These are your plants. Plants, when they photosynthesize, they are taking in carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and oceans. And when they are respiring, they are giving back carbon dioxide back to the environment, okay, in the atmosphere and oceans. Right. When they are dying, decomposers are breaking them down and then again returning back to the atmosphere. When they are being fed upon and when animals are eating them, they're also consuming the carbon dioxide. And when they die, see, fossilization takes place when there is incomplete breakdown. Okay, they're not broken down completely and they stay under the ground for many years and then they form fossils. So when fossilization takes place, they form fossil fuels. Coming to animals, animals firstly they are taking in carbon from plants when they are feeding on them. And when animals excrete and when animals die, they are giving the carbon dioxide to decomposers. Decomposers are returning it back into the atmosphere and the oceans. And when animals are respiring as well. Sorry, I forgot this. Okay. Then animals, when again they're not broken down properly, fossilization takes place. They also form fossil fuels. Okay. Now these fossil fuels, when they are burned, because these days we're not using natural resources, we're using fossil fuels. Okay. These are non-renewable resources, but again we are using them. Okay, just like anything. But point is that they will run out one day, and then these people will realize them. Plus, the fact that it causes a lot of pollution as well. So combustion of fossil fuels again returns carbon dioxide into the atmosphere and the oceans. So you see how uh, carbon is being revolving around different places. From animals to then decomposers from plants, and then they're taking in, they're releasing carbon dioxide. Right? So see, this is basically what your cycle looks like. Is carbon cycle clear? I would suggest
Yeah.
you to okay, I would suggest you to write this. It's very simple. Just make 2-3 arrows. Okay, and it will be easier for you when you will be revising it. All right, and you link as to where they are getting in carbon, where is carbon being entering into the ecosystem, and where is it leaving. Quickly draw this and these pyramids as well. Now this something I will talk about nitrogen cycle a bit. Let's see how much you can cover nitrogen cycle. Alright, rest of you everyone's done?
Yes.
Laila, Ahmed, Umar.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, let's move on then. Alright, now let's talk about nitrogen cycle a bit. Okay, nitrogen cycle. Okay, so basically, living things they need nitrogen to make proteins and also to make DNA. To make DNA. Okay, so changing nitrogen gas. Changing nitrogen gas into a more reactive form is called nitrogen fixation. It's called nitrogen fixation. Okay, now let's talk about some methods of nitrogen fixation. Firstly, I have lightening. Okay, so it makes some of the nitrogen gas in the air combined with oxygen that forms nitrogen oxides. They dissolve in rain and are washed into soil where they form nitrates. Okay, so this is one method that is called lightning. Lightning. Yes. Second, basically, there's usage of your artificial fertilizers. Artificial fertilizers. Now, nitrogen and hydrogen can be made to react in an individual chemical process that forms ammonia. Now, ammonia is used to make ammonium compounds and nitrates, which are sold as fertilizers. Okay, then I have your different types of bacteria that are basically involved in the nitrogen cycle. Firstly, nitrogen fixing bacteria. So, first group of bacteria is nitrogen fixing bacteria. This also does nitrogen fixation. Okay. One second, let's reshare it. 1 second. One second. Yes, it's working now. Nitrogen fixing bacteria that lives in soil or in root nodules in plants. Root nodules are small swellings. Root nodules in plants. Alright, now I have it written. 1 second. They basically use nitrogen gas from the air spaces in the soil and combine it with other substances like ammonium ions and other compounds as well. Right? This is about your nitrogen fixing bacteria. Second, when an animal or plant dies, okay, so bacteria and fungi will obviously do what? They will decompose the body. The proteins containing nitrogen is broken down to ammonium ions and then this is released. Second group of bacteria is a nitrifying bacteria that turns these ions to nitrates, which the plants can use again and again. This is called your nitrification. Okay, this process is nitrogen fixation. Again, same process. Okay, it's occurring here. When nitrogen is also returned to the soil where animals excrete nitrogenous waste materials, STAP produced by deamination of excess amino acids. Nitrogen may be in the form of urea or ammonia, and once again, nitrifying bacteria will convert it into nitrates. Third group of bacteria are called denitrifying bacteria. Alright. They complete the nitrogen cycle. They turn nitrates and ammonia in the soil into nitrogen gas, and that goes into the environment. Okay. And this process is called nitrification. Okay, let me just show you a diagram 1 second. Yeah, this is about your sorry. No. Okay, yes. All right, here. All right, here. So see, look at this diagram. This is nitrogen gas in the soil. Sorry. Okay. You have nitrogen fixing bacteria in the soil or nitrogen fixing bacteria in the root nodules. Okay, it's converting the protein in these. Okay. And then when these die, the protein becomes in dead matter. Over here, the protein in plants, they're fed on by animals, and then when they die again, protein is in a dead matter. Alright. Now when this dead matter is decomposed, it releases ammonia. Ammonia is then fixed to nitrite. First, very important, please note that nitrite and nitrate are different. Nitrite is NO2 negative, nitrate is NO3. Ammonia is converted to nitrate by nitrifying bacteria. Again, same nitrifying bacteria will work on it and convert it into nitrate. Now, this nitrate either it can be absorbed and dissipated into plants, or it can be converted by denitrifying bacteria into nitrogen gas. Okay, so similar way again, death, or either they are fed upon, again they die, dead matter. Okay, same thing is happening over and over again. Is this clear? The nitrogen cycle makes sense?
Is nitrogen fixing is opposite of nitrification?
Nitrogen fixing is opposite of, sorry,
Nitrification.
nitrification. Nitrification, nitrogen fixing. We are converting ammonia mines into nitrates. That is nitrification, right? And that was converting nitrates. Yes, you can say that. Yes. Can you explain this again? Sure. Okay. See, you can take any one point and start from there. Okay. Firstly, if you talk about with this diagram, what I have written, all right. First group of bacteria is your nitrogen fixing bacteria that lives in your root nodules or in soil. They will use nitrogen gas from the air spaces and combined with other substances and converted into ammonia mines. Okay, this is one story. Now this is end. This is ended. Now on the other side, when any animal or plant dies, fungi bacteria will decompose its body. Now the proteins containing nitrogen that is in the body, they will be broken down to ammonium again. Okay, now ammonium joined together. Okay, now you have another group that is called nitrifying bacteria. They will turn these ions, ammonium ions, to nitrates that the plant will be able to use again. Okay, they're putting them in the soil and the plant is using them again. Okay. Now this is called nitrification. That was nitrogen fixation. This is nitrification. Okay. Second. This is second. Third. Nitrogen is also returned to the soil when animals excrete nitrogen as waste material. Okay. And nitrogen may be in the form of urea or ammonia. It depends. Then again, nitrifying bacteria will convert it into nitrates. It depends. Okay, whatever form it is in. Then, third group of bacteria is called denitrifying bacteria. They complete nitrogen cycle. How? They turn nitrates and ammonia in the soil into nitrogen gas. Now, both nitrates and ammonia are now being converted to nitrogen gas. Now, this nitrogen gas was being converted into the atmosphere, and that is called denitrification. Yes, so yeah, now is this clear? Does this make sense? Basically, three group of bacteria, and they're converting the things. They're all interconvertible. Is this clear? Yes or no? What if a question asks how the plant uptakes nitrate from the soil? So that is, under transport in plants. You talk about how are they taking it up. Pines are being actively transported, water is moving, osmosis, all of that. They won't ask this over here. They can ask you about the bacteria. Okay, which bacteria converts what into what? Okay, know that and know the name of the process. All right, clear? Anyone else? Any questions? Everyone's clear with this? So please note this down. Now we're left with topic of your population factors affecting population growth. Okay, and yeah, yeah, that's all. I think it's a very small topic. We take, I think, 15 minutes to finish it off in the next class. Then we're gonna move on to the next topic. Okay, note this out, please. Alright, is this clear? Any questions? Done? Is nitrogen cycle clear?
Okay.
Alright, clear.
Yes.
Everyone, alright, is everyone done? Umar, Ahmed, who else? Zoya, right? Any questions, anyone? This is very important, okay? They will never ask to write the entire cycle. Okay, great. Umar, clear? Right? But they can ask about the roles of the bacteria. Okay, they know the names of the process, names of the bacteria, and what they're converting, and into what. Yes, Zoya.
Yes, I don't really remember which question in the past paper, but like they were asking, how do the plants, get protein from the soil or something? So I don't know how to explain that.
Right. So for that, you will, again, I think the question you're asking is related to transport in plants. I think so. I don't think over here something about taking plants up taking something is related to this. Send me the question if you find it. Okay. Maybe something else as well in the upper parts. But I think as of what you are asking, what you're telling me, simple. You will just use that. Ions are uptaken by active transport in the roots. Water moves in by osmosis, because then by the water potential gradient, and then they are uptaken by the xylem, and then they are transported to other parts of the body, other parts of the plant. Right. So send me the question. Okay, if there's something linked with this as well, I'll see. Okay, as of how the question is asked, and maybe the other parts related to this. Right. So we'll see, inshallah. Okay. But all right. Is this clear? Clear? Oh, great. All right. So all of you are done. Right. So that's all for today. Then next class, inshallah, we are gonna finish this chapter. And then we're going to move on to chapter number 19, inshallah. Down to the last 3 chapters. But we're going to start off with chapter number, finish this off and start with chapter 19, inshallah. I'll see you guys next week then. Allah Hafiz.
Lapis.
Allah Hafiz. Allah Hafiz.